Hello, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. I come to you this evening filled with the solemnity that accompanies the end of a long month. You might say, possibly ought not buy a stream now. Perhaps, Eric, you're too brooding in spirit to be live streaming at the moment. Hi, Octavia Silva. Boy, those Japanese volleyball players, they care a lot about volleyball. I might need a little FI help, I felt just a little, today my dad wanted to talk more than he usually does, but problem is, comes out here, he comes in weird times and is in the middle of things. I don't know. The whole thing depresses me. My cousin Julie, who's a couple years older than me, I find out today, has stage 4.5 cancer. Probably going to die pretty soon. I thought about saying to my dad, I want to go to the funeral, but I guess it's a little premature for that. Now, these cousins of mine, my dad's sister, my Aunt Evelyn, she was unable to conceive children. She adopted two. And therefore, my two cousins, my only two first cousins, are not actually blood relatives to me. And nevertheless, they're the only the only first cousins I have. And, they live in Virginia. We took family trips back there periodically, and I've seen them on a few occasions here and there. But it's been quite a while. I talked to Julie on the phone and Brian, her brother, for the first time maybe in 20 years, about a few months ago, 6 months ago maybe. Julie just got remarried, and then a skin cancer turned out to be more substantial than anticipated, I guess. And it went into it's gone into stage 4 now. The thing about it is, regarding that, I don't really feel much of anything. A general sense of one of those kind of milestone things. Because somebody from my generation dying of natural causes at a relatively young age, most people who make it through their 20s, almost everybody makes it to 60, If you make it to 30, you make it to 60 probably. But there are occasions where that's not the case. And don't do what? I mean, my position is it's more sort of symbolically or philosophically impactful than it is emotionally impactful. I don't have a particularly close relationship with those people or anything. So, it is what it is. They're not even my biological relatives, which oddly does make a difference. You'd think it shouldn't really, but Julie, in some sense, didn't fall very far from the tree. It was an apple who did not fall far from the tree, and she started getting into lots of trouble fairly young, and got pregnant young, got arrested for stealing. I remember at one point, and she was very well. I don't know exactly how to put this. Julie was adopted and put into this very nice, educated suburban home and so forth. But the trailer was embedded deep in this child, and she never quite left the trailer park behind. Though she had never known it in her actual life, it was embedded in her genetically somehow. Anyway, I don't mean to be talking shit about Julie at all. I'm just saying it's odd how when you have cousins who aren't really your biological relatives, it's pretty clear that they're not related to you. Brian, different than his sister, different than the family too, Brian, a lot more conventionally successful, and I think Evelyn and Lonnie are happy with how things turned out with Brian. He's got a couple of kids, and Evelyn is my dad's only sister, my only aunt, because my mother was an only child, and I'm not famished. No. I went to Jack in the Box and got an ultimate breakfast sandwich earlier, not very long ago. It seems like you feel. Do you not? I feel things, sure. I feel things. But I mean, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is this, that how much you feel a sense of loss, hi Dave Sanderson, how much you feel a sense of loss is dependent on how close you are to the person that you are prospectively losing. I just like I said, I've talked to her for the first time in like 20 years on the phone, not that long ago. So how close could I get? I do have strong memories of a trip when I was like 14 to Virginia, and we stayed with them for a while and spent a few weeks with them and stuff. And I mean, the thing is, you get that, but why break it down that way? Well, because I tend to intellectualize my responses to things like this, and note a lack of feeling because it would seem to be contrary to expectations. Am I in need of a pick me up? Abraham, what are you saying? You holding dog or what? So yeah, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to process my overall emulsion here. Legends follow me. I just say I was quite struck the other night by a few different things you said in the last live stream in the chat. I really enjoyed your saying. I didn't notice it when I was doing it, but I watched it afterwards, at least up until it got chaotic. But the statement, if somebody comes up to you and talks to you about your mask, you're like, it's not legal to ask me about that. And then they just sort of, okay. Of course, nobody knows what the rules are. Nobody knows what's legal or not legal or whatever. Somebody comes in with a lot of authority, makes statements about what's legal and not legal about COVID. Everyone's just going to be like, I guess that's the new rule. I don't know, rules change arbitrarily nowadays, so who knows?
Anyways, about that, I was actually going to send you a video that you might be able to respond to. It's about COVID, basically. And people are in Discord. We're talking about COVID, so.
Well, David Sanderson, I think that's a good idea, and I wouldn't mind responding to it. How am I going to change people's lives? I didn't promise you to change your life. I just pointed out that this live stream might change your life. How can I can't guarantee it won't change your life, right? So, that's what the title says. It might change your life. Yeah, it's like the thing about my cousin is mostly
I'll
just
send it as an email.
Okay, what are you gonna send us an email? Oh, the video.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's unsettling. It's like I don't know quite how to deal with it. My dad also is going in for a skin cancer removal thing in a couple of weeks, and I normally wouldn't think anything of it because my dad periodically has had little things removed from him before or whatever, but in such proximity to Julie having her skin cancer turn into stage, what my dad said was, approaching stage 5. I said, what's stage 5? He said, dead. So, I mean, it's not like my dad's really like soft pitching it either, but of course he's at 5/4, and Rachel and I had a good laugh in the car today about the futility of going to an ESTJ with your feelings. It's like if I go to my dad and say, but Dad, my feelings, they're like, your feelings? Ah, okay. It's like he's old school like that, I guess. But Rachel said she had kind of a similar experience with her ESTJ mom. She had to learn that she had to go to her ENFP dad for emotional stuff. And I had my ISFJ mom for emotional stuff. My dad he really, sometimes the NI polar is crazy, and sometimes the countervalued F is crazy. The polar aspect being, he didn't seem to put 2 and 2 together exactly right away. Like, we were talking about my mom and how she likes to tug at the bottom of her capri pants. Now, my dad is somebody who constantly needs something to do, and he doesn't really have a lot to do, so he's looking for problems to solve. And so, okay, well, she tugs at the bottom of her capri pants. Are they uncomfortable? Are they and Cameron and I were both saying I think she just likes to fidget with it. It's just, she wants either short pants or long pants. She doesn't like these middle pants. Well, Rachel suggested, why don't we send to her this thing that Evelyn and Evelyn's church group made for Mom, which is like a fidgeter thing for dementia people. And we suggested it, and it's like my dad had such a hard time shifting gears to, I had to like literally put two and two together for him. No, Dad, you see, Rachel's saying this would be a good solution to the problem you're still articulating about. That's why we brought this here. My dad said, this was here before. Yeah, we know this was here before. Fucking Rachel knows about it. It was here when Mom was here. Mom used to play with it. Mom liked it. Yeah, so this is something that was here at the house. Yeah, we know that, Dad. I'm saying maybe this is a out of the box ish solution to her tugging on the bottom of her capri pants. And then he says, "Well, the thing is, if it's a problem, if she's uncomfortable, okay. Well, what we're saying, Dad, is that it's probably not discomfort. It's probably instead just fidgeting. And maybe if she had this, she wouldn't do that." And he said, I know. But he gave me no indication that he had put two and two together. In fact, he gave me every indication that he had not put two and two together. Compelling me to say, okay, but I find myself saying this to my dad all the time. Okay, but Dad, but listen for a second. It's his responses are to continue on what he was saying was before, without factoring in what I said. You know what I'm talking about?
I've never known an ESTJ before, so
they're funny. But the funny thing also about my dad is then after sort of Rachel and I had walked away a little bit, my dad came and said, Rachel, thank you, that's a good idea. Because he's slow about it. It's unipolar. How do you know if someone has early stages of dementia? Well, the first indication that my mom had early stages of dementia, and granted this is from an ISFJ, the first indication was actually that she became more than usual fearful about change, things that were unusual. She started to have kind of a disproportionate response to, like, I think I'm going to go down to, instead of going to Mammoth, this time maybe we're going to go over to Carson City or something. She'd be like, I don't know about that because that's not familiar. Excessively. That was the first cue that we didn't pick it up on as a cue at first, but I think that's pretty much the first cue. And then, she started having to search for words a lot. I found a rather tragic notebook of hers at some point that was fairly early on in the decay process, I guess, and she was making lists of words she frequently forgot. Prince, yeah, I've heard about that. I probably will make a quick response to that. My response is pretty straightforward to this Prince guy. I don't really even need to reference his video particularly. Just whatever Prince says, let me just set the record straight. Typed in the same way I type everybody else. The conclusion I derived was derived from the test results. Yes, I edited that video, but it was because it was extremely long and there were large sections of very boring test-taking parts that I just decided to chop out large chunks of because, you need an example. Like if you're making a video for consumption, people want to see a little bit of this test, a little bit of that test, a little bit of this. They don't want to see 45 minutes of somebody taking the rat test, So, I'm not sad. I wouldn't call myself sad. I would call myself serious. I'm serious, you guys. I'm really serious. So, David Sanderson, I also was thinking, having watched a section of it from last night, that possibly the best thing I could do about COVID would be to cut out about a 25-minute section from last night's 4-hour live stream where I think I do about as good a job as I've ever heard me do of articulating all the various factors involved. If I excerpted that and added some bullet points in the video editing software, then I think that might be a successful way to approach it. It's a very reasonable sounding video too. And maybe title it something like "The Only Sensible Man in America" regarding COVID or something like that.
But like as a video response? Or?
I'm talking about to COVID in general, okay?
Okay.
Now, you say you have a particular COVID video that I could respond to, but I'm just mentioning that I was already considering excerpting the good COVID stuff from last night's thing, making it a COVID video, but that could be a separate COVID video. As far as this other thing people are mentioning here in the live chat, somebody mentioned Prince's video. Yeah, my point on that is just, no, I'm not racist. No, I didn't edit it to try to make him look whatever. I just edited it to try to make it a reasonable length. Yes, he's an ENFJ. All of the test results suggest that was the case, and I can't think of anybody about whom you could have less legitimate cause to accuse of rigging or being biased or whatever in a typing session than me, even if I were wrong. I'm obviously doing my best to try to get it right. The notion that I would purposely get it wrong because of some bias is insane. You know, it's just stupid. It's just not thinking.
Right. I don't know. I mean, the conceptual scaffolding is probably pretty solid, but the testing might need some work, I think, in my opinion.
Oh, you mean on the typing sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're going to have to get some people to...
Look, I don't have it perfectly down as to exactly what goes with what. I do know this, that via my intuition and experience, when I have a conversation with somebody for a long enough time and start asking a bunch of questions, I usually by the end of it have a pretty solid understanding of what they are. But that's not necessarily standardizable. You know, there's a lot of elements in that are art, not science. So how, there's to successfully establish what the best kind of typing questions would be and which ones correlate most solidly and what's exactly required to determine something definitively would require a lot of data gathering and organization,
Right.
I mean, personally, I think Prince is a racist. That's why he called me racist. He who smelt it dealt it. It's a universal rule for all sorts of things like that. By virtue of the he who smelt it dealt it rule, anyone who accuses someone of being racist is racist. Universal axiom number 4. He who smelt it dealt it. Just like in Among Us. If you announced, hey, I found the body, we go, maybe you killed the body.
I watch this guy on YouTube called 5up, and he plays Among Us, and watching him gives you a pretty good idea of how to play.
I don't care how to play though.
Yeah. Okay.
I tried to live stream some other game the other day on Twitch, and I started playing it for a while. I was just like, oh dear Lord, this is boring. I can't get into video games. I don't know. They just bore me. Like chess is fine.
I think you could get into the Among Us if you understood more of the technicalities. It's probably
I just don't care enough. I just don't care. It's like I have zero care for whether I do well or not. And it's just, I mean, I don't feel any satisfaction for having better strategy and outsmarting people and winning that game or something like that. It's not something I care about. And the problem is I keep trying to play some video games and hoping I'll find them engaging like I used to. And they seem to just fail to engage me. I may have lost whatever part of myself that once found video games engaging, or maybe by the end, all that was left for me to play was Madden. Madden. I never stopped enjoying Madden, although I preferred the college football game. But my PlayStation got fried in a weird electrical accident in the garage where my ex-wife plugged some frayed thing in and it like fried everything in the garage. So anyway, Titanfall 2. What's Titanfall 2? Does it have anything to do with Attack on Titan? I mean, here's the thing. If you want to know why I kind of have the ontological miasm right now, the answer is this. I'm coming to terms with the different phases of a person's life. So, I've gone through very conventional phases so far of my life. I've been a child. I've been an adolescent. I've been a young adult. I've been a medium young adult that's married, that has a kid. I've raised a kid with a wife and all the PTA meetings, all that kind of crap, and the after school activities and the volleyball and I've seen her through to adulthood. She's basically out of college, almost out of college, and then there's this period of life where, so basically it goes, childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, married, kid, raising a kid, and then your parents are the grandparents. And if you're lucky like me, then there's this period of time when you're really young when your great grandparent is alive. So when I was a kid, I had my great grandparent, my great grandma, my grandma, my mom and dad, and all my grandma's sisters and brothers as relatives. And then as I got older, since I didn't really have aunts and uncles, right? I had great aunts and great uncles. They all died off pretty quick, and I found myself a member of rather suddenly small family. My childhood went from a full house of grandmas with the sisters and the brothers of grandma and Al and Augie and Mary and all these people that filled up my family. They made me part of a big family. I was like one of the only little kids around, but maybe the only most of the time. But it was still a big family. And then because I'm F bipolar and SI fourth, by the time I'm 18 years old, everything that was true in, say, fourth grade or third grade, there wasn't a bit of it left. It was all gone. My grandmother was dead. My grandfather had been murdered in the pharmacy. All of my grandmother's siblings were dead. We no longer maintained contact with those sort of secondary families of theirs that we never were close to anyway. And we were down to, my dad and my mom and me. And my dad and my mom were happy enough to have me off of their radar once I got out of college, got a job and stuff, so they could go do their traveling thing, which they did. They had fairly early retirements, and they they did everything they wanted to do. They traveled all around the world. They've always done everything they wanted to do, and they had great lives, and then, of course, at some point I have a kid. At first, my mom she just hates it. She hates the idea that I have a kid, and until the kid's born, then her granddaughter is the greatest thing in her life ever, and she and my dad do a lot of great parenting on my behalf, along with me and my wife parenting too. I had Delilah in my custody primarily for most of her first 7 or 8 years before mom got back involved a little bit. So anyway, here I am at this point where I can imagine where Delilah was. I am now I can remember where I was where Delilah is now, which is to say, there's 5 or 6 years before she ends up having a kid, and then the question is my father going to still be alive? If so, that kid will know her great grandfather for a little while, and then her grandparents, me and Rachel, and the cycle will continue, and like my Rachel and I will become the patriarchs. I'll become the patriarch and take over the home here, and it's gradually starting to happen as my dad's sort of transitioning responsibility of things over to me. And the thing about it is, when you link into that, the ongoing stories of my dad talking about his friends Richard and Ellen. Richard's, he's, who knows how much longer he has. There was we'd already received at one point the get ready this may be it. You may have to come in for your last goodbyes, and then he recovered. So it's like we already had that moment, and then it feels like borrowed time. Richard and Ellen were down in the desert. My dad went down there, and they hung out and watched people sailing with those fans on behind them out over the Salton Sea. And it makes me think about, makes me put myself in the mindset and to realize that I can't. It's impossible. I can't imagine what it's like to be 83 and have all your friends and your comrades and your generation mates dying around you, making preparations for what to do to help with Richard's wife after Richard dies. Talking to me about how he's going to need to go up there for a while, and still being the ultimate TE problem solver. It's always, well, that's the next thing to deal with. The anti-polar that makes me wonder to what extent he really understands or meaningfully is coming to terms with where he is. But then I also think how arrogant of me to presume to even conceive of being able to put myself in a position where he is. His life's been so much more impressive than mine. Just so much more impressive. So much more interesting, so much more purposeful, so much more disciplined, so much more persevering. Of course, that's what happens when you have good parents who had more difficult, 'cause, 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 'cause childhoods or upbringings and want better for their children is you end up with spoiled children. You know, am I a spoiled child? I mean, they did everything in their power not to spoil me. They really did. You know, I had lots of chores and stuff like that to do. I had to do all kinds of work, but I just couldn't ever internalize the TE friend. You know, I just never could. My mom was always telling me, well, it's probably not a good thing to tell an ENTP. You know, you be you and you do what makes you happy no matter what it is, and of course my dad is a countervailing influence saying, son, you ain't got jobs. Always a good idea to get a government job. You got good job security and blah, blah, blah. The grass eater, you're pretty controversial.
I was actually wondering if you'd be interested in hosting a debate between me and Grass Eater if he wants to talk about.
Sure, I mean, I'd be happy to moderate between any two people arguing about whatever. Everybody wants to come in here and sword fight with David Sanderson, knock yourself out. I'll stay out of the way. Periodically call. Foul. Non-responsive. Answer the question, god damn it. Yeah, say things like that periodically. Alma is a bot or a fake profile. Well, I actually think Alma saying, why do you, saying, so you're thinking, that sounds beautiful. So you're thinking on, why do you have to be? And then at that point, I think maybe somebody says something about me. I don't know. So grass eater, what's your actual deal? That's pretty convincing that she's not a bot, right? I think she was talking to me and saying what I was saying was beautiful because, I'm pretty poetic. If you take 6 poets, put them in a blender, blend them up, have me drink that drink, and then poop out the poop, and then use that poop to fertilize the garden, and then eat the produce from that fruit, that's the flavor of my poeticness. Namely, depending on which species of fruit you plant. So David Sanderson, what do you think about life changes, aging, stages of life, and so forth?
Oh, I mean, I don't really think about it that much. I'm only like 20 years old, but I mean, I think they can be like a real thing that people experience, but I think there's also like an SI friend here too, because like you're talking about like specific moments in your life and not just like life itself.
Yeah, you're an NI fool, David Sanderson. An NI fool who doesn't value nostalgia properly. Is that possibly it?
Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah. I've noticed that, NI types have a very different relationship with their memories. I have a sense about what I recall having been as a thing that is lost while I'm not paying attention. And that causes me a certain amount of ontological terror. I've been happy, however, to be able to spend this time with my dad and engage with him more than I would if I weren't here. I feel regretful about some things. I feel sad that I'm not better at engaging with him. But he can make it difficult. Sean O'Neill says he's an ENTP. Sean O'Neill says Dave Sanderson's an ENTP. Well, Sean O'Neill, I'm going to unfortunately have to give you an F on this typology exam. I can't even justify a D minus. Not even in the ballpark. Not remotely within the confines of this ballpark. It's interesting about SI DOMs, Cameron, Kimberly as well. Doesn't matter how much time they spend around me. They never pick up any of the jargon. Just like Cameron was saying earlier, you know. It makes me seriously doubt that people who understand the jargon well, who get what FE is and all that stuff, by and large, that is contraindicative of being an SI-DOM unless they've put a lot of direct energy into trying to learn it. The thing about it is, SI people learn what they try to learn. They don't just randomly pick up shit, you know, because their SI is not defining the field. I mean, their NE is not defining the field. SI is defining the field, which makes everything particularized.
Right. I mean, I could ask some like clarifying questions and stuff. I feel like the kind of questions that I would ask would be more like prying into the like TI aspect of it, like the justifications and stuff, and the definitions.
Okay.
I understand the basic ideas, I think, pretty well.
If I want to make essentially a cave-shaped thing out of bricks, what am I probably making?
A cave-shaped thing out of bricks. I don't know what you would call that, passage of some sort.
A kiln, an oven, as Sean O'Neill says. Octavio Silva, Winston's mom. Eric ignores my comments when I'm not on my main account. I don't ignore anybody's comments. Look, when I watched that stream from last night today, which I don't always watch the streams, but sometimes I do it. And the first 2 hours and 40 minutes of that stream is kick ass, I gotta say. It's one of the better 2 hours and 40 minutes of a live stream that's I can remember watching in a while. It's quite engaging the whole way through. I'm feeling about that. Then we get off on some sexual topics and it gets messy. But I'm not ignoring these comments. I'm genuinely not noticing them by and large. There's some great comments that I wish I had commented on in the live stream. I thought, damn, I can't believe I missed that. But the fact is, I start answering one thing and I have to kind of look away from the chat in order to not get distracted by it. And then I miss a bunch of stuff and then I get caught up by something next. And, you know, there's a finite number of things that I can actually cover that are brought up in the chat. Some things it's not very clear. Something it's like I'm most likely to notice something that's expressly directed at me, like we're talking what Octavia Silva does when they make it orange like that. But also, if it's like if it's not part of an existing conversation, I'm more likely to pick it out as well. So shoot, I was so distracted trying to figure out how to type nostalgia that I missed SI and jargon. That's responsive to this jargon is the bargain thing is part of some other conversation that I haven't been keeping track of, so I'm probably not likely to comment on it. Flashes. I get flashes of a window inside of a brick building covered in ivy. The window is still open and there is a wooden console. I don't know if it's an SI memory or a place where NI resides. Okay, well let's see. What does Bibbs? You are correct. Bibbs always catches my eyes. Okay.
Oh, grass eater. I was gonna debate about or I was curious about debating about the transgender issue because I thought it would be interesting to have that debate, but with Eric as like moderator or as judge.
Hi, Michael Brady. Hey, what's up? I don't know. You remember me, but I haven't been on YouTube for a while. Well, I don't remember you, but maybe that's because you haven't been on YouTube for a while. I think that's the implication. Why won't Eric look at me anymore, CJ O'Connell? Am I not sexy enough for him? You know, it's actually typically involved in conversations where what you're saying is in the middle of something else, it's responsive to something else. So it's like, should I say something about it or just not? Because then you're just going to say, I'm not talking to you, Eric. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to be all embarrassed. You know? Well, he misspelled his own name. Yeah, okay. Well, Michael Brady, thank you for highlighting this suspiciousness.
So what's up? I used to watch you until I stopped using YouTube because it was a big time waster.
Well, that's a good reason. I hope you've devoted that time that you took away from YouTube to something much more productive. Green is good. Green is good. Green is good. I agree. Okay, so David Sanderson, if I tell you, I'm going to give you two objects. I want you to tell me what image it brings to mind in general, what vignette or what scene, okay? Here are the objects, the two objects I'm going to give you. It's a ham sandwich and a gumball machine.
Probably somewhere out like in the I forget where it's called, but there's like in a restaurant in like a building on like a street, or like one of those buildings where it's like, you know, like in like a town.
A building in a town on a street?
Where you can buy like I don't remember what they're called though. They're like there's one of them in Seattle. It's called the Seattle something.
I see. I'm giving out very hard Freud vibes right now. Okay, so David Sanderson, do you often dream about your mother?
No.
Tell me about your dreams.
My dreams.
What have you dreamt about recently?
I don't really have a lot of dreams, or if I do, I don't really remember them very well. But the dreams that I do remember tend to be very strange in nature, like, but they often deal with like more abstract concepts than probably most people's dreams.
Like cigars and bananas slapping you in the face?
Not necessarily. Like maybe they deal with time travel or something.
So not everybody has that dream? Huh. I just... time travel, huh? So if you were time travel in a dream, do you think that in the dream you'd object to the fact that you're time traveling on the grounds that you don't understand how it can be done?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't object to things that are usually happening.
What's an example of an abstract dream versus a concrete dream?
I mean, I don't know if there's a difference. What I mean by an abstract dream is like a dream that deals with like abstract concepts, like infinity or time travel or something like that. And then you have like dreams where it's like going on a walk to the park or something like that. It deals less with abstract concepts.
I see. What do you think about symbols? What do you think about the idea that things that people dream are symbols of stuff?
I think it could be the case that they're like metaphors for real life stuff, but it's not like it's not like metaphysical postulation or anything like that. It's like it just makes sense to me to think that that might be one way of like the universal expressing itself through like the particularized nature of like the visuals, or like the story of the dream.
To what extent do you think that secret conspiracies actually do impact the way shit plays out, in ways that we either never find out about or that some people posit but never get established?
Conspiracies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's probably true that there are things that happen behind the scenes that people aren't usually very aware of, or don't seem to have that much interest in, I guess. Like, people have their own agendas, and, there's structure to the world that we don't really understand, but people sort of live through their lives anyways. It's not really important for them to understand how the world works.
Okay. What's your position on God?
I don't really know, right? Because I understand like the atheist arguments, but I don't think that there's any real proof one way or the other. Like you can't prove that God exists, and you can't prove that God doesn't exist. So,
is it worth it to do risky endeavors like skydiving or mountain climbing in order to feel a sense of accomplishment, or I can do it, or I don't know, self-confidence or something?
I think that can be a valid way of doing things, for sure.
Okay. Is it a way you think you would be attracted to doing?
Not necessarily. I've always been very afraid of doing risky stuff.
Is the owner of a lonely heart much better than the owner of a broken heart?
The owner of a lonely heart much better than the owner. Maybe. Possibly.
Or the other way around, which is more likely.
I think that I've never really had my heart broken. So
You think you need to experience having your heart broken to understand what it means?
I think I kind of can, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that time heals all wounds, or that statement is overly optimistic?
Time heals all wounds. I think that it's more true that if people are primed to be pragmatic in their approach to things, that over time things get better.
Okay. Do you have certain corporations that you view more favorably than others?
Not really. I mean, I know that there are some pretty bad corporations like Nest, Quick, but I don't really research that stuff.
Okay. Do you have a strong position on how the United States ought to approach China and its dealings with Taiwan and Hong Kong?
How the United States ought to approach. I mean, no. Unfortunately, I don't.
Do you have a strong position on Trump?
I don't really like Trump that much.
What are your objections to him?
I mean, I don't really look at Trump that much, but I find that his whole approach is kind of embarrassing. Like, he makes the Republicans, like, look bad because he's not like taking his job seriously or doesn't really understand the importance of what it means to be the president.
Okay. So, what do you think about federal environmental legislation?
I think that can be good. But I don't have a super strong opinion on it.
What do you think about libertarians in general?
I think that they have possibly good intentions, but I think that they're like kind of too stuck in abstraction land to really meaningfully deal with like concrete issues. But I understand how like they want to be principally consistent.
What do you think the best argument in favor of gay marriage is?
The best argument. I think the best argument is that it's an act involving two consenting adults, and people should be allowed to make their own decisions regardless of, as long as they're not directly hurting anybody in any obvious way. If they're choosing to make that decision on their own behalf, I don't see that that's necessarily a problem. I don't know if that's the strongest argument you could make.
Okay, so, all right. So in other words, but the government doesn't have to validate everything that two people consent to, right? So, I might consent to having sexual intercourse with a strange person on the side of the road, but it doesn't mean the government is
right.
Is going.
But then, why would we
afford legitimacy?
Why would it afford legitimacy to like marriage like institution in the first place? Like,
well, I mean, the thing is, my point would be that the federal government isn't forcing anything upon homosexuals. They aren't saying you can't be homosexual and therefore you must be heterosexual and or get married. They're saying heterosexual marriage is available only to heterosexuals, just as a gynecology exam is available only to women. What about that argument?
I guess I'm having a little bit of trouble parsing through it, unfortunately.
Well, I'm saying the government doesn't have any business, maybe you're right, preventing consenting people from doing what they consensually want to do, but the government's not preventing anybody from consensually doing what they want to do. In other words, you can say you're married if you want. You can continue to have sexual intercourse and behave as though you're married. Nobody's preventing you from doing anything. It's not that the government wants to prevent gay people from getting married. It's that gay people want official validation from the government.
Well, I would say that, well, I would be in favor of like equality under the law. I think that it doesn't necessarily matter, but I mean,
yeah.
I haven't really thought about it too much.
Yeah, the best argument is because the federal government has linked the official legal status of marriage to varying tax consequences, then it has to make those tax consequences available to everybody equally. And if they deny a class of individuals from accessing those life partnership advantages on the basis of sexuality, then that would be unequal protection under the law. Whereas the proper thing to do would be to simply remove the government from the matter of marriage entirely, and then there wouldn't be an issue, you know?
Yeah, possibly that's a solution.
But I mean, it's like the reason I brought up gay marriage is because it doesn't seem to be a very controversial topic anymore. It's like there's not really anybody who opposes it that I can tell. Because I mean, the thing is, you either think your marriage is important because the state validates it, or you think the state's validation has nothing to do with whether or not your marriage is important. And I'm of the latter camp, and so it's like nobody's stopping you from getting married. Why did you feel the need to get the government's validation on it? Well, if it's for concrete reasons like tax advantages, then that's where the equal protection under the law comes into play, you know. And it's like, if you're gonna give tax advantages, then sorry, government, then you know they got you at that point. You can't say you can't make the argument at that point, government, that hey, we're not preventing you from doing anything. We're just not giving you official validation on it, because it's not like you're just giving people a certificate. It affords them benefits. No, who? No, does anybody know? Yes, no.
Yeah, so I basically agree with your position.
What's your position on leaf blower limitation laws?
Leaf blower limitation laws? I have no idea.
So some communities
Never heard of
complain.
those.
Some communities complain that the gardeners in their communities use gasoline-powered leaf blowers, and the leaf blowers are too loud and annoying, and they want there to be restrictions on the use of gas-powered leaf blowers in residential neighborhoods. Ideally, they'd like to see them banned and force gardeners to rake instead of use leaf blowers. What do you think about the leaf blower controversy?
It seems kind of like, nah, I don't know. I don't think that that's a good idea, personally. But I don't have enough experience with leaf blowers. I just think it's kind of petty, in my opinion, to be complaining about people's being annoying, unless they're doing it like super late at night when you're trying to sleep or something.
It's interesting. Of all the things in life that annoy me, the one that most frequently annoys me is the leaf blower. At least once a day, I'm annoyed by the sound of leaf blowers. I can't think of anything else that causes me more general, frequent annoyance than the sound of leaf blowers. I just lay down for a nap, and here comes the leaf blower. And what's he doing with it? What do you think he's doing with it? Blowing leaves. Right? Makes sense. It's one of those interesting spots because for some people it's quite a sort of violation of your space and your person. If you're somebody who's trying to record shit during the day, it's super annoying. If I could just get everybody to coordinate to have all their gardeners come on the same day, get it all out of the way in one day, that'd be fine. Ideally all at the same time, but then everybody has to have different gardeners. But instead, it seems, unfortunately, just scattered as randomly as it can be throughout the week here, so that every day, like twice a day, someone within easy hearing distance of me is getting their leaves blown. And it's okay. So that's a good perspective on it, Dan Black. Put the onus where it belongs. The person who's bothered by the noise should do better soundproofing. Well, that's one way to think about it. But I mean, I don't think anybody would dispute that if my neighbors were playing very loud, live amplified music at 3 a.m, that wouldn't be okay, right? So, I mean, there are limitations, and it's not just time related. We tend to think of it that way because obviously sometimes you're going to need to have some loud construction and shit, and that's going to be kind of loud. No, they're not blowing leaves at 3 a.m. But the point is, construction is short-term, short-lived, and then done and completed. It's this ongoing, super loud maintenance thing that's annoying. That it's like they're never done blowing the leaves. They're just done blowing these leaves. In 20 minutes, they're probably going to start blowing the leaves next door. And then when they're done, soon as, okay, yes, they stop at night. Great. But in the morning, 9 a.m., hey, that's like 9 a.m. for me. It's like 5 a.m. for regular people, depending on the day. And it's like, okay, fuck tards. I sleep with the windows open sometimes because it's nice and cool, helps me sleep better. Why not just rake? Raking is not that much slower than leaf blowing. It really isn't. Unless you got a huge yard or something, I just simply do not believe that the increased efficiency of leaf blowing justifies the increased, imposition of leaf blowing over the slightly less efficient raking, which also is not just that it's maybe slightly less efficient, but I bet it's actually less tiring on your body than carrying around this heavy leaf blower and having to wear these soundproof earmuffs because it's so loud you'll go deaf if you use the thing without them. It's like that's got to be more of a stressor than raking the leaves. Raking leaves is fast, man. Now, granted, sure, she gets caught up in the meow and it gets caught up in the mew. But you know what? You don't need a leaf blower for that. You need a vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaners are not nearly as loud as leaf blowers. Why not an electric shop vac? Well, you can vacuum up the leaves from the difficult spots. You can rake the leaves from the easy spots. I bet you, if we structured it properly, we would be just as fast, if not faster, than a leaf blower. Flamethrowers, another possible option. You got to be careful to hit only the leaves with the flames and not the lawn or any of the surrounding plants. So you got a very precise flamethrower, obviously.
Could get Elon Musk's plane up there.
If Elon Musk were really a genius, he'd solve the grand leaf blower conundrum. you know, big tunnel. Whoa. Hey, everybody. The genius guy just came up with a crazy idea. You know, the same idea that every kid in Los Angeles has always come up with. One of the two same ideas every kid in Los Angeles come up with when there's traffic. Why don't we just build a big tunnel under the city with more lanes? Or why don't we just build up higher, like stacks and stacks of lanes? Every child in California, in Southern California, has posited these two ideas, right? To deal with traffic. I know I did as a child. They're very obvious things to say when you're a little kid, right? But when Elon Musk says it, let's build a big tunnel. He's a genius. When everybody's coming out with all these electric cars, right? Everyone's like, oh, cool, electric cars. And then Elon Musk walks up to the mic. Guys, listen up. It's time to revolutionize shit around here. I'm going to build, get this, electric cars. I was like, oh, did you hear that? We're going to have electric cars. Oh my God, he's going to make it a reality. We already have electric cars, morons. Is that genius?
Self-driving cars.
Okay, next thing. Listen to this, guys. It's going to blow you away. You know how we're down here on Earth, stuck beneath the atmosphere, unable to get into outer space? I, Elon Musk, am going to get us, the human race, outside of the gravitational field of the Earth enough to go into orbit, into outer space. Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come up with a rocket that goes to outer space. Revolutionizing things forever. Oh, wait. They did that 60 years ago? That's not a genius idea.
I'm not an Elon Musk fanboy. My dad is, though.
Tunnels, rocket ships, flamethrowers, electric cars. Elon Musk is a genius? None of those things are new ideas. You know what he's going to invent next? Next, he's going to invent the safety razor. Elon Musk is going to get up there and go, you know how? You're always cutting your face with a straight razor. You're always just, ow, I got to cut. Get this, everybody. Tesla brand. Electrified. Safety razors. And it was like, oh my God, the genius is at it again. Who ever heard of such a thing? A razor that's safe?
Neuralink is kind of interesting idea, I guess.
I mean, Neuralink is the idea that you have some sort of hardware connected with your biological software, so to speak, or biological hardware, and it interfaces with your brain like that, or what? The most creative thing Elon Musk has done is name his child A-E-I-O-U, or whatever his name is. That's by far the most interesting thing he's done, and frankly, it's incredibly dumb. So,
XA12, what?
XA12.
That's his name.
X.
It's an A, like, I don't know. It's a weird symbol.
Okay.
Let me copy it.
XA.
I'll put I'll put it in the if it works. I'll just do it.
XAE 1-2 or something like that. XAEA 1-2, right. EIEIO. XAEA 12. XAEA 12. Old MacDonald had a farm, and on that farm he had an Elon Musk's child. XAEA 12.
Turns out it was actually his wife's idea, not even Elon's.
Okay, well, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to offer pushback on that terrible idea, I might point out. I guess Pussy Whipped isn't stupid. So, maybe he's, I guess the fact that that's not an indication of him being dumb or uncreative, just an indication of him not knowing when to push back, I guess, or being, as I earlier said, wussy pipped, which is a more polite way of saying it. Wussy pipped.
Yeah.
It's an interesting term, huh? Wussy pipped. You've unsubscribed. Stuart Johnson's had enough around here. It's like, that's it. I am unsubscribing to you, mister.
Huh.
You have pissed me off for the last time. I'm Stuart Johnson, and I'm not having any more of your nonsense. Okay. What did I say that made you unsubscribe? Was it about being wussy pipped? Or was it about Elon Musk? We are going to miss you. We are going to miss you so much. Wait, what question did he ask several minutes ago? Let's see. Define physical and metaphysical. Okay. Let's see. How do you define physical and metaphysical as adjectives referring to objects of human attention? I don't. I define physical and metaphysical as fields where human attention is directed. Would you like me to describe the grammar of the fields? That's okay. You do whatever you want. Stuart Johnson, subscribe, unsubscribe. Susie subscribes and unsubscribes left and right. Well, a field is a distinct area or forum for experience to where experience occurs. So right now, our communication is taking place on an external metaphysical field. It's a field that even preserves a record of the communication after this live stream's over.
What is the field? Stuart Johnson asks.
Right. So a field is a forum by where experience can occur. So in other words, the exchange of information occurs here has to occur in a place that's not inside of my head, right? If I don't communicate to you, then you don't get to understand what I'm thinking. So I have to externalize my ideas. And, well, no, it's a location where attention can be directed. So I've directed my attention to it, and it does indeed establish objects on the field. That's true. The objects in this case are statements. The field persists And sort of icons of the entities persist, but entities existing on this field are durational. So they're mostly needed to be experienced to be understood and or sort of unpacked to be understood. Let me just say thank you very much to Home Fries here before I go any further. Oceanfront Man, you are amazing. You say I'm amazing, you are amazing. Thank you very much for your contribution. Attention is directed upon objects, true. That's true. But the thing is, you're misunderstanding the relationship between the object and the field in some sense. Basically, metaphysical objects that persist on a metaphysical field, things like a video, things like a conversation like this, they comprise an event, which is a named duration of time. And they are essentially triggered by an individual's attention to function as like clones of an entity. Yeah, I did say metaphysical objects. Let's just say word objects, idea objects, songs, videos, things like that. Those entities are entities of duration, and they persist on the external metaphysical plane. And a minute ago, I said I don't use what is an adjective for objects. Okay, fine. Durational objects on the metaphysical plane. Be more precise. My mistake. You got me. I was being fast and loose with my language. Technically, they are durational objects on the metaphysical plane. And I use a shorthand that's inaccurate. It means they have to be experienced. They can't be simply measured. So, for example, I could measure a given rock, and I could determine whether it's the same rock by doing those measurements. I don't have to experience anything about it to understand its identity. Whereas a given video might be very similar to another video, but they might have distinctions. And those distinctions can be determined by experiencing the duration of it. Now you can speed up or slow down the duration, but what a durational object on the metaphysical field is something that requires attention to encapsulate. In other words, it's not merely defined by its attributes in the way that a physical object is. So objects that are non-physical are defined by their identity, whereas objects that are physical are defined by their attributes. Now, again, you hear me saying objects that are physical, whatever. What I should say is attributional objects, which occur on the physical plane. I do use that shorthand. My bad. I stand corrected. I do use that shorthand. So the thing is, when we try to focus on where the objects are, for example, instead of how the objects become objects or re-become objects via attention, then we displace the agency from the observer in ways that are metaphorical and contraindicative to understanding things correctly. Eric, my brother just heard you in the background, and he sounds like a dead narrator. Well, I am very calm right now. I'm sleepy. I've had a long month. Did I not read his comment? I wanted to read his comment. I'm not sure what his comment was. Oh, I see. It's not included in the blue part. YouTube is censoring super chat comments. So as an ISTP, I devised the plan to hit you with a sticker and then comment Happy Thanksgiving and thanks for all the information and entertainment. Well, thank you very much, Oceanfront Man. I didn't know they were censoring super chats. Why would they censor super chats? That's weird.
He gave you $20, or somebody else did.
No, he did. And then he explained it, but I didn't realize. I expected the chat to be in the orange part. So I didn't see that it was the same guy who said YouTube is censoring super chat comments. So as an ISTPA, I devised a plan to hit you with a sticker and then comment Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for all the information. Well, that's a very clever solution to that. I appreciate it. Wow, Oceanfront Man, you really are making a splash here tonight. That's very kind of you.
Damn, $50. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know. I occasionally people come in and surprise me like this, and it's always absolutely delightful. I don't know who Oceanfront Man is. I've never heard of him coming around.
Me neither.
And so that also makes it interesting. It's like they're not just a troll because they're giving me money, you know. So normally new people come in and we suspect you of being trolls, you know. But that's great. Thank you. Anyway, what were we talking about here? Before we all got our minds blown by people's Jesus Christ. Okay, Oceanfront Man, you are feeling the Thanksgiving spirit, and I am giving thanks to you. I'm also going to take this moment, unless you don't want it, in which case I won't, but I would like to transubstantiate you a bong rip, which is something I do for special people like you, VIPs, you might call you. Very important sticker users. So anyway, this bong rip is from a kind of weed called high octane. And it's, you don't really get sticky weed that much anymore. This is sticky. It's sticky icky, as Snoop Dogg says. As a licensed metaphysician, I am empowered and will execute this power to transubstantiate this bong rip such that while my lungs will process all the smoke, your brain will get all of the results. Here we go. I transubstantiate thee to Oceanfront Man. I'm transubstantiating that last sip of orange juice as well. That prevents scurvy. Oceanfront Man is making it rain. So, what I want to just say is this is sort of great surprises and ups and downs that YouTube has for me. Earlier today, I live streamed and there was a low turnout. I had 14 people. It was a chaotic environment because camera came over. It was probably a bad time to start live streaming. I didn't really think it out. I started getting really tired. I hurt myself outside at one point, and that made my SI start to plummet, not very badly. I hurt myself like this. You can see it in the back of my heel, maybe. Ouchie there. It's poorly positioned to see, but you can kind of see it. And now I come back here and, it's like the numbers are good. And then, we have Oceanfront Man arriving and being awesome. And the mood here tonight is calm. I like it. It's comfortable. Oceanfront Man knows the mechanics of super chats, huh? You must be a YouTuber yourself. You used to be able to click on someone's name and take you to their channel. Not anymore. So David Sanderson says typologetics are like typologists, but better. They invent their own terminology and try to justify their cultish aspects of the LGBTI community, like cis justice. Oh, cool. So yeah, the thing that I came into this live stream with tonight in general was a general ontological weight that links to a number of different things happening concurrently. One, going on Sleepy Week. Two, various bad newses happening. Not really bad newses, but well, I mean, dark newses. And then just a sense of how challenging it can be to connect with my dad, because I would like him to live stream with me, but I don't think it's, last time I suggested, which was a long time ago, he rejected the idea, but then he comes out here and he's not afraid to be on it for such time. It's like that anti-polar thing again. He doesn't really seem to have a clear position on it. And I think, I'd really love to get him involved in political discussions, especially. He's got nothing but really smart things to say about politics. It's quite impressive. I'm continually impressed by him. I'm continually impressed by the clarity and pragmatic approach and sort of overall reasonableness and correctness about my dad about politics. It's crazy. Apologist.
How are you gonna run it by him again? Are you gonna do that?
Yeah, I will. I'll run it by him again.
But he's got that TE, so you got to give him a good reason.
Well, the problem is he's got the NE third. So the best strategy for an ESTJ is somehow get them to think that it's their idea. But that's unlikely to happen on this issue because they're also FE sensitive and play FE defense a lot. So Swift Eagle says David seems like an FI dom to me. The jury's out on David. ISFP is not out of the question. INTJ is not out of the question. I don't even think quite. Those are a couple possibilities anyway. I tend to think he's FI and NI. What do you think of when you think of childhood Christmas, David Sanderson?
Me, generally like Christmas. Gives you the time off and spend time with people, and you don't have to really do anything or put in any work. So, I guess I'm more work oriented now than I was before, I guess.
What do you think
I don't know if that's exactly true, but
what do you think about Christmas from your childhood?
Christmas from my childhood. That's basically, Christmas from my childhood. as I remember. I mean, it's also like just getting like presents and stuff. That's also like fun because you don't know what you're gonna get, but usually sometimes it's something good. Other times it's like socks or something.
Is there a specific Christmas you can remember and articulate, like in the following fashion? Wow, I was 8 years old, and I wanted the Easy Bake Oven more than anything else. But my sister kept saying, "That's a girl toy, that's a girl toy." And I said, "Shut the fuck up." Mom said, "Don't use that kind of language at Christmas." And my sister said, "You're in trouble, and you want a girl toy, so that means you're gay." And then you're like, "I'm not gay. I want to cook your face in this thing after I get it." Like,
see it. I can only think of one Christmas so far that I remember in detail.
tell us about it.
Well, I was probably like in my teenage years when my stepfather, who's an ENTJ, he's like kind of big, and so he dressed up as Santa Claus, and people like didn't know that he wasn't. So like I was in on it, but he pulled it off really well, and I remember that he it was kind of funny because my siblings, including my like brothers, didn't know that it was him, but they had like suspected it.
I see. And how was your high school experience?
I never went to high school. I was pulled out because they kept taking me to like special ed because of my like Asperger's or something. I wasn't getting the education that I needed, so my mom decided to pull me out. Though we tried homeschooling, but that never really worked out either. So
Asperger's. Asperger's, schmaspergers. That's what I would say about Asperger's.
yeah, it was special ed was pretty bad. I had a lot of pretty bad experiences with that.
What do you think the number one priority in America is right now politically?
That's a tough question. Well, one thing I would prioritize is that we need to get our collective acts together and like figure out what it is that I guess we need to, we should talk about things, I guess, is possibly one thing. Like what we need to agree on before we can have a meaningful political discussion might be one of my priorities.
So let's talk about grass eater. Grass eater often represents a somewhat divergent opinion around here. He tends to be a little further to the right and the absolutist side of things than a lot of people around here. What would you say is the key to bridging the gap between somebody like grass eater, who's fairly vocally aligned with a side, and somebody who's fairly vocally aligned with the other side, or somebody who's trying to bridge that gap?
Well, that's where complications start to come in, because it's kind of hard to reason with people who already have their minds made up. But I think that one way of doing it is like explaining that it's not about them, it's not about their beliefs, it's about figuring out what course of action we can collectively agree upon. That's kind of how I would frame it, at least, because people can have their personal beliefs that might influence their like political positions on certain topics. But I think that if we continue to allow, like, to not like acknowledge that the other person might have a point, or that, you know, we need to. It's kind of hard to. I'm not very good with words right now, so.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to phrase it.
Let me ask you a different question. Have you heard about the monolith found in the Utah desert?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Let me get a quick video to link here. Just found today. Breaking news. Breaking news. Monolith, Utah. All right, so let's see. This looks like a pretty good one. Right here. Copy the link address. I'm going to put it in the here chat. Piao. I'm going to mute over here. Okay, well, that wasn't a very good link on it because that didn't really explain what was going on. But there's a better one that explains it better that I already watched before, 209. This is a good one. This is the one I should have gotten. Here. Now you'll see the truth of something fantastic. Ready? Now you'll understand what I mean when I say truth is permanent, real, and forever. Okay. Sorry for the long delay there. I hope you all watched that video, because that video is proof positive that somebody, we don't know who, put something in the desert. And whenever we don't know who did it, 99% chance it's one of two culprits: aliens or Sasquatch. Who's voting Sasquatch? Who's voting aliens? Which is more likely to rivet sheet metal together? Aliens or Sasquatch?
You asking me?
Yeah, who's more likely to rivet sheet metal?
Probably aliens.
Probably aliens, yeah.
What? Well, because like if Sasquatch could really do that, then we would have probably known about it. Like they're hiding some sort of secret technology or something.
Well, maybe they just happened upon a pile of sheet metal in a river that worked, figured it out on the fly, made that thing, stuck it in the ground, and then never sheet metal fabricated again.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know.
Probably not the
They
most
just stuck
likely
it there?
scenario. Probably not the most likely scenario.
Probably not.
Yeah, grass eater, you need to get wifed or girlfriended, one of the two. You, in the most crass, the crass way of putting it, and I hate to be crass, is you need to get your wick dead. You know. But I
No
get
such thing as aliens.
there's no such thing as aliens.
That's what Grass is claiming.
You know what I bet? I bet it's the transgendered people who put it there.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
All conspiracy.
Punch me, bruh. Bruh? What up, bruh? Punch me, are you more of a bruh, a brohan, or a brosovich? Or more of a bra? How about you, Dave Sanderson? Would you say you're more of a bro, a bra, a bruh, a brosovich, or a brohan?
Well, I haven't heard those other two. Probably more of a bro than a bra, though.
Let's see.
A brosovich.
Yeah.
That's like Russian or something.
Now, are
Or
you
German.
more
I
of
don't
a
know.
bro or a homie?
Yeah, that's tougher. Probably still more of a bro than a homie.
So Swift Eagle has a pessimistic understanding of things. He seems to believe that the fushing world is doomed. I don't think so. I think it's not too late to save things. I really do. How do you feel about death, David Sanderson?
About what?
About death and dying.
Death and dying. I mean, I think it's a difficult issue for a lot of people to grapple with, but I think that it's something you kind of have to come to terms with, at least at some point in your life. Like maybe in your, like, you know, middle years, or as you start to get a little older, but not necessarily just like before death.
What's the biggest negative you conceive of regarding death?
The biggest negative. Well, the only negative I see is that you don't get to do any of the things that you get to do when you're alive.
Are you worried about being
a lot of negatives, though?
Are you worried about being painful?
Am I worried about? I mean, I don't know how painful death is, but it could be.
Okay. I'm getting further away from the ISFP. Octavia, not closer. No, he's not FI polar. Have you ever heard of the traveling salesman problem?
No.
All right. It says that, let's say a traveling salesman has to go to 4 or 5 different cities. They have to start at their own city and end at their own city. And they've got to figure out the fastest way to get to the most efficient way to get from city to city. So, like, for example, let's say you've got to go to cities A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. But let's say C is past B and D and E are over more by A, but on either side of it. So, can you avoid going through B twice, for example? Is that necessarily the fastest way? Is it possible that going through B twice is faster than the alternative way that avoids going through any place twice? So, those kind of questions are questions that are called traveling salesman problems. So, do you think that you'd be somebody who would be effective at figuring out what the most efficient way to solve one of those problems would be?
I mean, it could be. I don't know. It's possible I could do well on that sort of thing.
Okay.
But I need it drawn out because, it's hard to visualize it in my head based on your explanation.
Sure. Um, I don't. These are not questions. Hold on one second. I'm looking for something. Okay, so let me do the following thing. Piano, 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 piano. Piano. Okay, David Sanderson. Let's see. I'm going to put this in here and share with you. And I'm also going to come over here and share the link to the problem that I'm looking at. And so you can see the page as well. Here you go with the meow. So this particular visual pattern looks like this, and I'm going to show it to you like this. So it says, which thing is missing? Which thing goes in the question mark? This may appear backwards to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see.
All right, so I'm not sure what the answer is either, because I see a couple of possible answers that seem to work. And I guess, okay, I guess I have my choice. I guess I understand why it's Mia, but I don't like the question very much.
Yeah, it's really confusing.
Will anybody in the chat get this? I've got various answers. I've got Lero A says it's C, and Punch Me says it's B. Lero A says it's C. And what's your justification for C, Lero A? And what's your justification for B, Punch Me? Because, I mean, my thinking is, it's the first one on the link here. You'll see the answer if you look at the link, because the answer is right below the question. But the thing is, apparently, it would seem in this question that you've got two barbells, you've got two things that look like S's, you've got two things with arrows pointing up, you got two things with arrows pointing down, but then you've got one C, one L, and one spaceship. So it seemed like either the L or the spaceship would be the correct answer. I'm not sure why the correct answer is D and not B. So two closed shapes, one open shape for each column. Two closed shapes, one open shape for each column. Oh, fascinating. That's excellent NI lexicon trio. All right, well, let's try another one of these. I just figured, I just wasn't on the right page at all. I mean, this is exactly the sort of question that I'm bad at, right? So I don't expect myself to do well on these questions at all. Let's see if you guys can get the next one. Well, stop sharing for a second so I don't show you the answer. Now I'll get this one. Piao, new, piao, new, piao, new, piao. Okay. So this one says, select which figure is the odd one out. And I'm going to share it with David here. Application window, snipping tool, save, share. Okay, now I'm also going to upload this image to Google Photos so that everybody else can play along if they wish without looking at the thing that has the answer right there. Share. Copy. And go to the mail.
I mean, I guess D is possible here because the flags aren't reversed. So if you rotate them and then you reverse the direction of the triangles, all of them work except for D.
Okay, so let's see.
But I could be wrong. C is also weirdly rotated.
Okay.
So is E. It doesn't really follow a pattern.
Which one's the odd one out? Well, okay, it obviously has to do with those black lines. So I would say the odd one out is C because it has both black lines going the same direction.
I see. I didn't see those. I wasn't looking.
All right, let's get this next one here and try again. These questions are interesting. Problem is, it's really hard for me to copy and paste them without looking at the answer because the way this is set up. Save as, capture. Yeah. Okay. Share. Application window, yeah. Share. And then we will meow. I will go over here. I will go over here. I will go to here. Computer. Okay.
Whoa.
Sure. And we share this with the mail. Create the link. Copy the link. Paste the link. So let's see if how people do that one. Now I will look at it. So Dave Sanderson, hold off telling us what you think it is for a bit so we all have a chance to look at it. I know what the answer is though, unfortunately, so I can't really. I can just try to see if I can figure out why that's the answer. Yeah. I don't remember what the. I guess it's. All right, let's see what people think. Okay, I got some answers here. Skyger says B. Queen of Vegas says D. Lionhand says D. Punch Me says A. So.
Wait, there's probably some math I could do here. So each of them are rotated at Okay. Let me find a calculator. Five divided by 2 plus. What happens if you add that 3 times? Hmm.
So there's another one. I can figure these out usually if I spend some time on them, but they're certainly not my strong suit. Let's see here for this circle one. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think it might be D, but I don't know how to prove that.
Are you talking about the previous one? The one?
No, this one.
The one that's, let's see. You're talking about this one here, which is the jug with the 3 balls in it thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is D. I don't know exactly know why either. Let's see if we can figure out the answer to why. It should say down here why. Positioning oneself on the spout of the above pictures, one would notice that the pattern of circles travels from left to right, except in the picture shown in option D, where the pattern travels from right to left. Positioning himself, looking in from the spout. I mean, really? I don't find that a very satisfying answer, you know. How many four-sided shapes does this diagram have? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23. That's how many I counted. Well, that's enough of that. Okay, so as you can see, we've got these pattern tests that are BAF, which is boring as fudge. And they make me think, hey, who cares about these boring things? What's the answer here? Which of these circles is a better one to put? I guess. All right, so it's like this line moves in, moves in. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, I would guess for this one here, E or D or C. I don't know. Like, I don't know. What's the answer to this one? Nobody knows. It's not possible to know. I can't. I can't explain it, Octavio. You think the circle one is E? I hate those kind of problems. They remind me of everything that's wrong with wrongness. It's like, those circles, come on now. Snuff with that. To that one, probably, I forget where I got it from, though. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Well, you know what? Before I do anything else, I'm going to pull a couple bowls. It might give me a little bit of a final burst of energy today to bring things full circle and wrap up my ontological musings in a satisfactory way that provides closure to everybody. It helps everybody to feel like, hey, we are all experiencing a wonderful time. Oceanfront Man, I want you to have an even merrier Christmas than I have, okay? I want you to outmarry us all. 1/16 is only one standard deviation above average. It's rough. Of course, horse humblers talking about penis length in inches. And if 116 inches is just one standard, like there's from it, it's just one standard deviation above average, then wow, I am way below average. 116 inches. Like, who knew a woman had that much depth up in there? You wouldn't have expected her to be that deep. I mean, well, the other thing is Samuel Janikowski. Some of these people are 116 inches wide and only 1 inch long. Now that's a bigger challenge. You got to find a very wide vaginaed woman. It's called pancake penis. It's a real phenomenon. It's okay, fine. I am a sufferer of pancake penis. My penis has the girth of a loaf of bread, but the length of a pita bread. So, you know, she's like, "Oh my God, you're gaping me again." But then, you know, I don't attain a lot of plungage, obviously. Don't they always? Don't they always, Sean? Every time you and I are here together, lives change. Lives are reborn. Phoenixes in the fire are rebirths. And Sean O'Neill, I want to stress that you are my absolute favorite completely incompetent typologist. Of all the ones who get everything completely wrong, I can honestly say you're my favorite. 116 centimeters, huh? How many millimeters is that? 1,600? Oh my God. In order to be average, I need to be 1,600 millimeters long. However, will I preserve my masculinity? It's a lot of millimeters. How many micrometers is the average penis length? 16 centimeters. Well, see, because Horseman actually said 116 centimeters. We're not really good with metric around here. He said 116 centimeters was about average. But I'm pretty sure that's not true because well, how long is 12 centimeters? How long is 12 centimeters? How long is 12 centimeters? 4.7 inches. All right. The social expectation, though, is closer to 16 inches. Okay, well, let's see what that is. 16 centimeters. 16 centimeters and inches. That's 6.2 inches. I see. Well, um, I measure my penis in parsecs. How many parsecs long is my penis? Do a little math there. What's 6e minus 18 parsecs? I don't understand what 6e minus 18 is. Is that some sort of math thing? Convert 6e18 from hexadecimal to binary. Okay, now I want to regular decimal. No, hexadecimal. Output decimal. And go. Binary. How do you make it go, though? Uh, Convert 6e18 to decimal. Oh, it's 28,184 to the 10th power. That's to the under 10th power. What does it mean when there's a 10 at the bottom instead of at the top? So, like, they tell you what base it's in? That doesn't make any sense. According to this, my penis is over 28,000 parsecs long. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Nighty night, Dave Sanderson. in the stream so I can go to bed and you can't too. Okay. All right, I'm in the stream. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying I must have done the math wrong because I'm pretty sure my penis is not over 28,000 parsecs long. I can't be sure. I can be absolutely certain, but you know, because I haven't measured it. But I must have done something wrong. Maybe I should have tried to convert to furlongs instead. Plank lengths? I don't know how many plank lengths does it take to make a full plank. 1 inch equals 1.588 times 1,033 plank lengths. Oh. Why don't they just do the multiplication problem for you and say 1 inch equals plank lengths? You know? Well, the key thing to do is to remember that the best way to measure penis size is in parsecs. That puts things in perspective. You know, nobody even gets close to a parsec worth of penis. Not even close, not even half a parsec. I don't think anybody even has a light year's worth of penis. I'm pretty sure a parsec's longer than a light year. Okay, anyway. It takes a while to roll up my parsec's worth of penis before bedtime, so I'm gonna have to get started on that. It's like a garden hose that just never ends. I'll see y'all later, and I have to debate this guy called Josh starting tomorrow at 3 p.m. for 6 hours. Well, I do actually have an appointment already from 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. So if you really want me to debate somebody, it's going to have to be at 4 p.m., not 3 p.m. Would you like me to put it on my calendar? I have 2 to 4 with Jeffrey. You want me to put 4 down on my calendar for reals, or are you just fucking with me? David Sanderson. You want me to put it down, or are you just fucking with me? I'm not going to debate him for 6 hours, but if you got somebody for me to talk to, make it 4 o'clock, okay? You want to shoot the shit with me? Or somebody else? Okay, well, I wouldn't mind it. It would be good practice. It would be good practice for me. Chat with an ESFP. And see if I can learn to attack that particular kind of wrongness, successfully. All right, good night, everybody. Sleep well.